Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome to a marathon because right after this review, we're actually going into the Big 2 review. But this is the indie review for books that were released on December 18, 2013. But before we get into the books from December 18, 2013, we're going to go into the books that didn't come out this week. And I believe, Mike, yours is first.
Yes, it is.
This came out, accidentally I missed it. It came out, I think, 2 weeks before the 18th. I think the 11th. It came out, that's a week ago. Whatever. It came out a couple of weeks
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Unmentionables of Color Classics, Volume 2, Issue number 2. This story was really, as always, amazing. It was more like a detective story.
It's nice seeing it in color. I like that.
Yeah, here's some artwork. And it starts off where basically Casey Jones found out that a brass cow was missing, and he wants to find out who did it and who took it, because it's, he goes back to his old days. So he goes to tell April and the Turtles about it, and April does her investigation and hears a guy talking about a brass cow, and she gives him information about who he is, and we don't get a name as of yet, but poor Casey Jones, he's just trying to give more information, and he's just having a hard time, and April's just doing it like a pro and everything. So yeah, we do get the Turtles, by the way, in this, that only wear the red bandanas, but that's fine, because
the weapons,
you can tell by their personality who's who, actually, easily. So April, of course, she gets in trouble, and the Turtles have to go save her, whereas Casey Jones is in the restroom finding out that it was a Norman Whitty? Yeah, that was behind all this. So Turtles go to save April, and they find out that the cow that they received at the farm was actually not the real one. It was actually a fake that they got. So there's just lots of fighting going on, and Casey Jones in the taxi cab, he does a crazy thing by jumping on the car where the real brass cow is, and he says cowabunga. Like that scene alone was really amazing. And so yeah, they retrieve it, and the police find out who it is,
and the Turtles disappear.
Yeah, but like they were saying that that they'll file it under unmentionables, and the Turtles, they feel it's unmentionables. Thus the cover title of this, and that's the end. So it really felt like a detective story, but I really enjoyed it. Definite book of the week, 5 out of 5. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommended that you guys check out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of Color Classics Volume 2, Issue 2.
And we're going into ID. We're going to be doing all IDW books this week, physical anyway. I understand that Part 2 came out the week of the 18th, but I didn't review Part 1, so we've got to go through Lock and Key Alpha Issue 1 first. One issue to go before the end. As I told you guys, I am moving a few books over to next week's review, so it's not just one book we're reviewing. So next week you can expect Lock and Key Alpha Issue 2, which came out this week, and also Argo 5 Issue 6. I don't know why I want to keep saying Alpha for some weird reason.
I don't know. You've been saying that, actually.
It's because I checked. I was reading some of the old Alpha Flight.
Yeah, and then that's how.
Anyway, Lock and Key Alpha. Or I could just be saying Alpha 5 because this book is called Alpha. That would work. That would be why. So, this is the end. Bode, who is being possessed by Luke, is, or Dodge, as you say, his plan is finally coming to fruition. He wants to basically make millions and millions of different keys. He wants to rule the world. He wants, basically whatever his supervillain wants. And, he wants to take all of Kinsey's memories away and send her boyfriend through the door. The lock house is burning, so there's no more house. Oh, what's his name? Shows up at the house. Rufus shows up at the house to try to save Bode, but of course Bode is in the well. Tyler comes up with a plan. He shows up, and it turns out he made, obviously, the series is called Alpha, the Alpha Key. And basically what the Alpha Key does is, if you turn the key on a person who's possessed by the Whispering Iron, it turns the demon in the iron back to just iron, but unfortunately it kills the person in the process. And he saves, basically, he tries to save everybody, but I'm not going to spoil it, but in the end Dodge is taken out once and for all. But I'll show you guys the last page because this is an old book, but basically it's hell. Bode is dead, like his body is now completely vacant of all spirits. Everybody, all of Kinsey's friends except for her boyfriend are dead. Tyler's beaten up, and thanks to Rufus, finally, Dodge is finally gone. So what could possibly happen? And also at the back of the book there's a little fan art, as well as there is mention here about the pitch that Lock and Key made on Fox, the pilot episode. It was filmed back in February 11th. Yeah, they actually have pictures and everything from it. So this came out a few months ago. I believe it came out in November, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, because there were lots of books.
I believe so. I can't remember for sure. But this is part 1. Part 2 ends it all. It's the end of the Lock and Key saga. And I've already read it, but you guys should be excited to hear about how it ended. And if you guys have not checked out Lock and Key, it is all officially over now. It is collected in several trade paperbacks. Alpha and Omega, which was the series that takes place before Alpha, are going to be together in a trade paperback. I believe, I don't think it's behind this book, or is it? No, Clockworks.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be 6 books altogether, but the 6th book should be out soon for Alpha and Omega, or Omega and Alpha. So that's Lock and Key. This was a spectacular book, and I can't wait to review issue 2 next week. I would say I can't wait to read it, but I've read it. So now we're in present day, not Color Classics, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 29. And guess what? The Turtles, it's too dangerous in New York now for the Turtles, for Casey, for April. So they escape to, guess where?
Northampton.
The Northamptons.
I
Part 1.
So they're referring to the movie too much.
Not just the movie, they're referring to the old series a lot. It's like they're retelling the old series, but they're changing things.
But didn't it happen in the first movie too, where they went?
Yes, they did. The first movie took place from the cartoon, the comic. Yeah. Anyway, so Casey and April are going to be staying with her mother and father in the. See, this is the difference.
The
now.
difference of the family.
Because April's still young.
Oh, okay.
So April and Casey are going to be staying with April's mother and father in the house, and the Turtles and Splinter are going to be staying in the barn. Leo, unfortunately, is still kind of brainwashed. There's a fight that goes on between him and Raph, and it's all because of Aloplex, who actually escaped with the Turtles, because Foot Clan's going to be going after her now because of her betrayal. So she felt they're running away, to lay low for a bit. So she was hoping that she could do the same with them. Leo's on her side, Raph isn't. Splinter says, you saved my life, so to honor it, by the spirit of Bushido, I have to accept your call for truce and give peace. Leo is still... There's just a lot going on in Leo's head. He still hates Splinter. He actually tells Splinter, he's like, Yoshi, you're not my master. And don't tell me what to do. Save your commands. He's like, very well. So Leo's away. The Turtles are with Splinter. And then we find out that April's parents, who worked for StockGen and who got April her job, there's a story to tell, apparently, because she has a story about her and the father with the ooze.
Mm-hmm.
She says this is a long story, and I don't know why any human being would go, oh, you work there, you're a teenager, but I'm gonna tell you everything that happened with your father and me with the ooze, and how honestly something from our past that's way more dangerous than we ever would have realized otherwise. I'm like, oh. And then the next issue is got Mikey as the cover. So I'm looking forward to that.
So good.
This has been book of the week. I'm sorry, book of the week. It may be rehashing some old stories, but its retelling it's so good, and the artwork in this book just continues to be really good. 5 out of 5. I'm sorry, this book is just awesome.
That's why I gave
highly recommend
Color Classics 5 out of 5 because it's just amazing. I mean,
Turtles, and it's dated. It's not predated. It's up to the times, now times. It's really good, and it's not for kids. It's definitely something for adults and kids alike, fans of the Turtles, or people who are interested in checking out just a spectacular book. That's the last physical copy. Everything else we got is digital.
and
I would
on
like
the
to.
iPod, the covers.
I would like to make mention of one book before we move forward, and that's Dark Horse Presents issue number 31. And the reason why, the cover says it all. The first story actually is about Hellboy in Mexico. I'm not going to give away... yeah, he's in Mexico.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't want to give away too much because I didn't read the rest of the book. I literally only read the first story of the book. Dark Horse Presents is a bunch of stories mixed into one. And a lot of the stories that get a lot of fanfare, a lot of fan reviews, or a lot of stories that look really good end up getting their own series. And then there's also like Alien has made appearances in Dark Horse Presents. There have been Alien stories, and Hellboy has been in Dark Horse Presents. So they have some known stories in there too. So this is about Hellboy in Mexico. He gets married to this woman, and the woman turns out to be a demon, and that's kind of where it ends because the marriage was kind of.
Well,
I don't want to give too much away, but
yeah.
it was really fun to read. I love reading Hellboy, so definitely something to check out if you're a Hellboy fan. But the book is a hefty price. It's about $7.99 dollar book. So
50. You said hefty.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So now let's go back to IDW. We will revisit Dark Horse in a little bit.
Yes.
Ben 10 issue 2. That's all
Yep.
you, buddy. That's
I
not
read
me.
Ben 10. Ben 10. This was really, really interesting. Like we find out more about the girl who was a mermaid, and there's more about the serpent, since that's what they call the villain, and the father is really into this, as well as
I thought that was the grandfather.
or the grandfather. Actually, I'm not sure. I thought it was the father. And we meet the mermaid's mother and father, who are kind of a little weird, sort of. But we find out more about what's going on, as well.
I don't like the way they reimagined Ben's sister or cousin, and I forgot what his name is.
Who, him?
Him. I forgot.
I can't.
I remember reading watching Ben 10's second season, where he turned out to be a good guy. They were all teenagers. Now they grew up, and I don't know, just me. Anyway.
Yeah, and they also have powers too, because they had a little trouble with the robots as well. So there's just more talking most of the parts, and meanwhile Ben is just trying to find out about the whole thing about what Serpent's up to, because he finds out after a while that it is Serpent due to past events and everything.
Right.
And he also saves people. Ben saves people as well. So there is lots of action though, and definitely the artwork's great. I don't want to give too much away because there may be some of you that may read Ben 10, and maybe there might be others who don't, but when I was reading this, I really was interested. I mean, even though I didn't really watch much of Ben 10, the Serpent actually has something in the end, that's gonna definitely play in the next issue. So I'm,
Well, I would hope it would.
well, yeah, because Serpent is one crazy villain, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
All right, let's go into a book we both read. Godzilla, Ruler of Earth. So, Jet Jaguar, I believe,
Jet Jaguar.
Jaguar versus Godzilla. Doesn't happen at the beginning of the book. They actually go after, what was the other monster's name? I forgot.
Oh, here it is.
That's it.
I passed it. Yeah, and you know what I felt just before you continue? It's like Godzilla and Jet Jaguar. They were gonna fight each other, and then they team up.
They team up to fight the monster.
Right.
The other one that Godzilla and Jet Jaguar, the one that Jet Jaguar broke out of, is now regenerating slowly. So the aliens saved that monster. But then right after Godzilla and Jet Jaguar finish beating up on that monster, they fight each other. But Jet Jaguar doesn't kill Godzilla, he just knocks him out and tosses him in the ocean.
Right, and there's also these aliens that are talking as well.
Yeah, but then these soldiers get teleported on the alien ship by accident, and then just as they're about to hurt the soldiers, enter Jet Jaguar again, and now he's breaking into the spacecraft.
Yeah, because they said Jet Jaguar wouldn't hurt, any of the villains. I mean, not villains, of the people. That's what I meant to say, the people. I don't know where.
But he doesn't know they're in there. The
Right.
next cover, do you notice that's the American Godzilla and that's the original Godzilla?
I know, I saw that. I was like, wow.
That cover looks awesome.
Original, absolutely.
So, and next year we're gonna see the Godzilla movie.
Mm-hmm. So that's.
This was a really good book. If you like Godzilla, if you like fights, if you like monster fights, if you like Jet Jaguar, if you like any of the Japanese
It's a monster
monsters,
free-for-all fight.
but it was awesome. It's an awesome free-for-all fight.
An awesome free-for-all. That would be a better way to put it.
You do this one. This one's yours.
Oh, the cover says it all of Mr. Peabody and Sherman issue 2. Is it? Yes.
Who?
This cover, it just says it all. And I didn't even look at the cover, actually. I just went into the story to see what happened. So, basically, Peabody and Sherman are going back in time where they experience all the stuff and the cavemen and stuff like that. So, the kid wanted to go on an adventure, and he was describing, I'm like thinking, gee, it sounds like pirates, but they first wound up at an opera theater at first in Italy. So when he was describing it more to the dog, he's like saying, oh, you meant pirates, and then they met pirates and Blackbeard as well. Blackbeard was one crazy pirate dude right there. I mean, he was just all over the place, and they were a little bit mean to them at first, the pirates, but then they all got along because the kid related to
I love how in the
Pirate
end there's
Kid,
always a joke that
I think.
what?
They said that he's related to Pirate Kid, I think.
Yeah.
The boy? Yeah. And what was the thing you were saying?
I was saying it's funny how Peabody always has a joke at the end.
Yeah.
Why do you think people call a pirate a buccaneer?
Yeah, and after that, I was like looking at the cover and like saying, oh, so that's what the cover was about, because it was all about just them going on pirate adventures. Really classic and absolutely a fun read, even for kids to read. I mean, if you want to learn more about histories and past histories, the dog has all the information, and the child's learning from him. It's just...
It's a good book.
I wish they had it on TV again, because I believe it was on TV a long time ago, right?
I believe so.
Because I remember watching them from time to time, but definitely must read for that one. I loved it.
Might as well do this book.
As well as this one, yeah.
Samurai Jack, issue number 3.
Oh, man.
Heavy action in this book.
Very heavy action. An awesome way. Oh, aren't you?
No, you go.
Oh, first up, Samurai Jack meets up with, what's his name?
Glor the Great.
Glor the Great. And Glor the Great, they have
You remind me of Hercules.
Yeah, and they talk about each other, and then they have a little bit of a fun sword battle where their strengths are even. And everything looks so great, but then after a while, things turn out a little bit on the other side. Yeah, the Aku attacks, and then we find out that the nice city we saw before actually wasn't the nice city that he really thought was nice. It was all dust and everything, and he's just saying, you know, I lost it all in a spear form, Globe the Tree. So they say, I lost it all. And I like how Samurai Jack, how he confronts him saying to not give up. Like, just keep moving forward and you'll do great. And it just got the spear just to move forward. And he also had that yellow string, which actually plays something I want you guys to read about to see what it's about. But I really liked how he just told him, you know, to not give up and just keep moving forward because everything will be back to normal again. That's what I like about this character. I mean, the more
Samurai Jack is a really
the
really
more I
cool
read about
character.
Samurai Jack, the more I'm starting to like him, and the more I want to see the series as well as. I mean, I did see some of the episodes. I want to see more that I haven't seen on TV. But guys, Samurai Jack is spot on amazing. It hasn't disappointed me as of yet, and I hope it stays that way of awesomeness.
Let's go into Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Ghostbusters Happy Horror Days Part 3, issue number 11. We're going to start getting physical copies again. Right, Mike?
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's buying.
Of course, I buy everything.
You buy everything indie.
Yeah, indie.
And that you anyway.
Da-da-da.
But we're going to wait till this series is over before we go into it. You know why we're buying? Well, we'll get into that at the end of this book. What did you think of this book, Mike? I thought it was a fun read. You know, the Ghostbusters, they're getting closer to figuring out what's going on.
I was going to...
They're getting closer to what's going on.
Oh.
And then that's where you say...
that, you know, they're just finding more about the ghosts that they saw from the last issue of this. And it's very...
They thought it was a Santa Claus ghost.
Well, not Santa Claus. They said Santi Claus, whatever it was. And this ghost was really, like, the almighty powerful. This Santa Claus, whatever they called. I'll say Santa Claus then. And, you know, they did manage to, you know, get the ghosts and everything, but it was a really great read. The second story I didn't really read because I didn't actually go forward into the book because I was so amazed at a chapter I read. Plus, I had a long week this week, so I kind of lost track of some things. But if you're a Ghostbusters fan, and if you've been reading Ghostbusters all along, and if you like horrorness, paranormal, whichever you could say, then this book is definitely right for you. Ghostbusters is just... They do have Ghostbusters 1 and 2 reference.
Next year is the 30th anniversary.
Oh, so it's the year of the Ghostbusters.
Yes, that's why I'm saying we're going to start getting the physical copies once the next story arc starts.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, yeah, that's right, 30 years. I didn't even think of that until just now.
But Ghostbusters Happy Horror Days Part 4 is the closing of the year, which basically is New Year's. I guess they're a little bit behind, or they have to be now because, you know.
It's just...
So, maybe we'll be seeing Ghostbusters soon, but as soon as Haunted Horrors or Holidays ends, that's when we'll be getting physical copies again.
Definitely.
It was a really good book. If you guys aren't reading Ghostbusters, you are missing out on some good stuff. Is there anything else IDW related before we move forward into
that one?
No.
No,
This one
the
is
other
though.
one. Yeah. Oh, you. That's.
Did I just closed it, didn't I?
You closed it. Good job.
I'll get it. It's Transformers. Show the cover in the meantime. It's Transformers robots
Oh, here we go.
in disguise.
Dark Cybertron.
Part 5. This is issue 24 of Robots in Disguise, and a bunch of stuff's going on. So Nova Prime and Galvatron are coming out through Megatron, because Megatron is the bridge between the dead space or the dead whatever and the dead world and our world. Enter Bumblebee, the Autobots, and the Decepticons
Do
to
you like
stop.
Bumblebee?
No,
You really don't like him?
not a fan. I mean, I like him, but he's not my favorite.
Yeah.
So the Autobots and Decepticons versus Soundwave, or Shockwave. Sorry,
I think it was Shockwave.
it is Shockwave.
It is.
Soundwave was with the Autobots and Decepticons.
And that was in the other issue.
So they stopped Nova Prime and Galvatron from coming through, and Shockwave is fighting off them because he wants them to come through. Shockwave, at some point throughout the book, gains control over the Titan on Cybertron, and then we jump to the Dead Universe,
Right, because that's where they were.
Where we find a little bit out about what's his name, Nightbeat.
Nightbeat.
Yeah, that's the guy that they were talking to, who was shot in the head.
Oh
He
yeah,
has a bullet
I
hole in the head. He was dead,
remember.
but somehow found his way into the dead universe, and in the dead universe, dead is alive, so he's
So
alive.
he's alive, exactly.
And it turns out Cyclonus is
the robotic claw.
No, not the claw, the
What? The
shield, the force shield,
Oh,
which was protecting them from the dead zone, broke when he entered, and it turned out that he was what's the word I'm looking for? Infected by the dead universe, and he's no longer going. He's gonna. It basically tainted his spark, so to speak.
okay.
We also find out that Nightbeat was a sleeper agent of Nova Prime, and once a sleeper agent, always a sleeper agent. And it turns out that Galvatron made it through before they were able to stop him and Nova Prime from breaking through Megatron. Megatron was ripped in half by Galvatron.
Yeah, I can see the armor. Wow.
That was awesome. And let's just say that once a sleeper agent, always a sleeper agent. Nightbeat betrays Optimus Prime and the others. Why? Because he works for Nova Prime.
Well, you should have let them read the issue.
The cover says it all for the next issue.
I don't know. No, because usually in the ending, usually.
No, cover says it all.
Okay, well, if the cover says it all, then that's a giveaway then. But sometimes, the covers could fool you.
So much is going on, but it's so awesome. I love it. I love Transformers. I highly recommend, if you guys aren't checking out Dark Cybertron, to go back and check it out. It's a really, really good miniseries so far. It's only 5 issues in. You can go back and get the other 5 issues for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go into the next book, I see the time is about to run out, so we're just going to switch it up really quickly, and then we will continue with the books from this week. So just let us click the button and we shall continue in a moment. Alright, and continuing forward, next we're going into Dynamite Entertainment for Green Hornet, Mark Waid's Green Hornet, issue number 8. So apparently somebody is going around pretending to be Green Hornet, and he has these kids running around stealing from people.
Oh.
And one of them will become his sidekick and live in the big house, and the rest will be gotten rid of. How, you don't want to know. And obviously this guy is not the real Green Hornet. The real Green Hornet is doing his thing from back in the last issue. Sorry, I have a dry throat. I don't know what's going on. So, it turns out from where Green Hornet was in the last issue, this boy shows up and he's trying to steal from that house. And the boy calls the real Green Hornet the fake. And that the real Green Hornet's going to kill him.
Wow.
So Green Hornet's like, take me to this real Green Hornet. And this kid escapes, but he follows them. And he finds the fake Green Hornet. And he beats the crap out of all of them. And then he's like, you all work for me now. He tells this to the children. And then he takes the children out into the country. And he has them train. And he says, when you're 18, you come back and we'll work. And you'll work in my gang. And that's where the issue ends. But basically the Green Hornet saves these children.
That's something else. In a way of saving them and stuff.
I'm sorry, I love Mark Waid's Green Hornet. It's a spectacular series and definitely something you guys should check out. And while Mike talks about this book, I'm going to go grab something from my throat this time.
So, alright, so next one is... Get the issue number.
Captain Midnight!
Yeah, Captain Midnight. Issue number 6. So, this story was, I never read Captain Midnight, but you do know a little bit about him in this. There's this villain who is after Captain Midnight. I can't remember the name of who he is, but basically he has a score to settle with him, and he's can't remember. I think some, like I'll find out as the story goes. But anyway, you get a long thing about him of like about himself, Captain Midnight, and there's just like a whole big dialogue he has in this story, as well as like not telling them that he's actually working for somebody, Captain Midnight. So like he doesn't really say much, and there's a whole big thing about that as well. Meanwhile, he's just like around. Like this is the fight scene actually. If you go down, I think we find out what his name is. Can't remember what his name is, but basically Captain Midnight fights with him. I can't remember what his name is, but because he's going so fast, I can't get his name. And
Grounded?
No. That's what he was. Yeah, but he just one-ups Captain Midnight. Like he's just like one of the strongest. Like he reminded me of Bane sort of. Like
yeah, that's what I'm thinking when I look at him.
Like because he's like saying, "I'll break your bones and everything," But it kind of reminds me.
I can't kick this dry feeling in my throat.
I don't know. And he's just really, really strong, and he's just gonna take him out of his misery. And things don't look good for Captain Midnight in the end. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name. I can't remember for the life of me. The artwork was really great, and the action in this story was it was a great way to leave on a cliffhanger of to be continued. But it was lots of action as well. But definitely something you guys must check out. Okay?
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to talk. Saga, issue number 17. And already I'm feeling it. So we find out that the reporters that are trying to find out more on Fiona and basically what's going on in the book, they've been poisoned, but not really. The poison won't take effect as long as they kill their story about them. And we find out that there's a new person or a new marksman, and she's called the... Oh, come on. The Brand.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but okay.
But it's a weird name, but okay, we'll go with that.
So the prince is looking for Marco and Fiona, and he's asking the caretaker if he knows anything about it. He won't answer. Then he recognizes that he wrote a book about war. There's a scene with the Will and the little slave girl. We of course get our one
with
scene.
The TV screen head.
In the end, Marco's mom actually shows up and tries to save... She actually ends up trying to save the guy, but he ends up shooting the prince. But the prince isn't really dead. He ends up dying by somebody else. And basically all hell breaks loose, and that's the end of the issue. It's a lot of talky-talky in this book.
Yeah, that's what some books were this week. Like, just talky-talky, and that's really what was about some of the comic books. And is that the next one?
Yes.
This one...
But I didn't finish yet. Saga's a really good series. It's going really well, but once again, really very, very little progression, but a lot more background story and a little bit more extra added into the story, which I like.
You're done now.
No,
okay.
I'm done.
This was surprisingly a good issue.
I'm shocked.
Black Science, issue number 2. And I am going to tell you why. This issue was more as a fun read, this one. Like, more adventurous, I would say. Not fun, like adventurous. There is some swearing, so I do prefer adults to read this comic book. There's Grant, who is with Kyle Kiger? I don't like this guy, Kiger.
Kadir.
Yeah, Kadir.
Kadar.
He annoys me to no end, and I really don't like him. And Grant is actually trying to calm everybody while he's just making it worse because they have 4 hours to be on this planet. And they think that this bomb was sabotaged in a way that they can't escape. Or they can't actually dismantle it and escape as well. So they're just trying to find ways of how to get rid of it, as well as them going into another scene where they go to what happened before time, and there's this eagle with the glowing eye, and we don't know what that was about, really.
This whole book doesn't look like I know anything about it.
Well, basically, what happens to Grant in the end is something I cannot spoil, because first of all, I had to look back and forth to see how the hell that happened, and then I realized that after looking at it carefully, you're gonna have to look at the last 4, maybe 5 pages carefully to see about what happened to Grant and everything. But oh man, this was surprisingly good. So I guess whatever happened in the first issue, they fixed it, and if it's like this, then I will definitely read it. This is what I like to read. If it stays like that with artwork that was okay, the story was just really amazing. So,
and we left out a book from IDW that you read. I couldn't read it. I got bored halfway through.
The Illegitimates, issue number 1. Now the Illegitimates are, it's more of a, like, let me explain first. Like, first, they talk about this guy who was a troublemaker, and he was with these ladies and everything, so he was like a ladies' man, so to say. And there's this one guy who was after him and actually killed him, and it is graphic. Lots of stuff.
Very graphic.
Very graphic. And the general and some other guy want to find out, you know, why this guy killed him. So they're introducing these people who are going to be, it's like Avengers or maybe Argo relating to that, of how the teams are getting together. And the guy who killed the main character in the beginning of the story, he now has to deal with the teams that were mentioned in this book and try to kill them as well. So I don't know how they got the title Illegitimates. Like maybe
they were all this person who died illegitimate's children.
It could be. But
they're his illegitimate children, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I gave up on this story after the first page.
No, I mean, it was really good. How could you not like that issue? It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
So, Ghost issue number 1.
I will get to that.
From Dark Horse. I like this issue. It starts off right away with it's a couple on a train. Everything's, Happy Gilmore for them. And then this demon comes crashing in, and so does what's her name? Oh God, I forgot her name. There's too many names.
She actually looked at someone that she was familiar with from a
Alyssa.
long time ago. Yeah.
She comes flying in as a ghost, and this whole fight between her and the demon happens. She sends the demon to hell, but then she feels like the person who was possessed and died knew who she was. And then it turns out that, what's his name is back? The butcher's back.
Yep.
Who is not a ghost. But they want to make him priority, but there's also the mayor, James Barrow, who's also around somewhere, and he's a demon, and he has other demons in high power where they are, and Alyssa wants to stop them. So she chooses to go after Barrow. She forgets about the butcher. She doesn't care about anything else. She just wants to head for the mayor. But then she ends up doing some research on the person who was possessed. At the
They
beginning
also
of the
talked
book.
about how she became the ghost as well. Like, talking-wise, not actually seeing.
Yeah, a little background. So if you haven't read Ghost before, because I believe there was a volume before this, possibly.
Oh, it was?
Maybe. You get it. If there wasn't, then I don't
Unless
know.
maybe the
haven't
next
really read
story
too
they
much.
might explain it more, because she just talked a little about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then she chases after this other demon who knows everything, all the information she needs to know about the mayor, about the demon that possessed the guy from the beginning of the book. And he'll give her all that information. All she has to do is give him a younger body and let him go live in the country somewhere.
So technically they make a deal with each other, and she...
A deal with a demon, as she says.
Yeah, that's some... That was like...
I was wowed at that. That was a wow.
But there has to be a catch to this, because you know that there's going to be something where he's going to turn his words around, like all the bad guys do, and she's going to find out, and it's going to be too late because the last page with the handshake says it all.
Artwork was really good, though.
The artwork was really good, I will say that much, and it was really, said perfectly about what the story's about.
So you read this, I didn't get a chance to this week.
Yes, issue 2 of 3.
Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer 44. It goes back to the last issue of what happened when he is actually in Germany and fighting against this guy who we know as Death. And he reminds me of, I think he's Hitler, I think, because of the way he acts and stuff like that. But he says his name is Death, but some tells me he's Hitler in disguise. So there's a little bit of a fight scene between those two, and then we see from what happened in the last issue, from how it got to where they were on the plane and everything, and it's just an all-out fight between Sledgehammer and Death. And the artwork, the rain, when you see the rain, Chris, in an epic fight, you could tell flat out that that's just truly amazing. I mean, every time I see that, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
And there's just more about the German references of what's going on. We got a new character introduced, but which he might or might not play a part in this story. But it was mostly talking that involves the aircraft, like flying over stuff and everything. But the way Death is looking at Sledgehammer in the end, as he got him pinned down, we're going to see how, if the fight continues, or if Sledgehammer is able to beat Death. But, wow. Rain and equals epic fight. Enough said right there for you to definitely pick up this comic book.
First Star Wars book of the week, and it's Darth Vader and the Cry of Shadows. And in this book, actually, we don't get to see too much about Darth Vader at all. We actually hear the side of one of the clones from the Clone War. You didn't read this, did you?
No, I didn't. Oh, no, I read half of this. I didn't read that.
And he went, this is after the Clone War, he was abandoned during the fight. The Jedi didn't help him, he got shot in the face. Fell out of the carrier and was basically left for dead. Nobody came for him. But he talks about Darth Vader a bit because that's what everybody else is talking about. And he decides he's done, you know, sitting around in
Pity.
Basically pity. And he sets out to actually go find Darth Vader. And we get his entire background story about him being a clone. You know, we get to see the babies, the kids who grow into the teenagers and young adults who then become the soldiers. And basically the end of the issue here, it says that it shows what happened to him, how he got shot in the face, how he fell out, how they didn't save him, how they didn't go back for him. He was just left for dead, but somehow he survived. And then he ended up walking away from the war. But basically he says the events in this story are true, and this is how I found my way to my path leading straight to Darth Vader.
You feel really bad for him because if he joins Darth Vader, that's he's gonna find.
He had it hard during the war.
Right, but if you join Darth Vader, that's a bad move you can make because Darth Vader doesn't make life better. If anything, he should join, you know, the light side and not the dark side, because the dark side.
He was bred to be a soldier, though, Mike. It was a really good book, heavy dialogue. I cannot even express half the stuff that he talked about in the book. However, I would highly recommend you guys check it out. There's not that much Darth Vader in this book. As a matter of fact, he's just referenced in this book, but I'm sure that the story is eventually going to get to him.
It should as time goes on.
Take this book.
Oh.
Because I didn't read the second half.
Never Ending, issue number 2 of 3. And like before, it reminds me of Superman, this character. It really reminds me of him. Like, it really goes back and forth with the years as they did in the last issue. And it talks about the scientist who wanted to get rid of his powers, the main character. And then it goes back in time where he helped the character of how they got to that point in time. Back in time about when he fell in love with this girl that he loved very much. And the kid who turned out to be an adult. And he really wanted to fly. Like, he just wanted him to take him flying and everything. And as the issue continues, he goes to see his granddaughter and his son, who's very old. And the one thing he did for him is what he wished for in the beginning, to fly. And he died in his arms, which was very emotional and sad for that character.
But he hadn't aged.
But he stopped. But he did stop saving the world because he felt that nobody needed him, like Spider-Man, kinda, of how the world doesn't need a superhero due to everything that's happened to him. But then when he realized that he needed superpowers, it was too late, and he gives it to the guy who he helped out in the beginning, and that's what he wanted from him. So basically, his plan was to take his powers, which worked, and now the guy turned into dust because he couldn't handle that much power, and now he's powerless. Now he has no powers. He could hurt like an ordinary man. He could feel like an ordinary man. And
but now what?
I don't know. That's something that I want to
be concluded.
That is to be concluded, but you know, just losing powers and everything. There's just so much you could refer to, but I'm not going to do that. It was just flat out reminds me of Superman in that part.
Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, Force War, issue number 2. This book was spectacular. Artwork, story, everything. X-Shi is still worried. He keeps having these nightmares that one day he's going to become a Force Hound again, and he's going to hurt everybody he cares about. Which is ironic in this book, especially at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jedi decide to take the advance over the Rakata. However, the Rakata know about the Jedi's plans because there is a mole in the Jedi's who work for them. But they let the Jedi attack, and then basically the Jedi's are led into a trap.
Right.
Because they knew they were coming. You showed the cover, right?
Yeah, I did. I was just
okay.
Making sure everything's alright.
X-Shi, who is the only one that realizes it's a trap, he finds all the Jedi's that are being mind-wiped to become Force Hounds. And he's about to save them until the person who, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but you guys should know if you've been reading this, who is actually working for the Rakata, actually shock him, and now he might be going back to becoming a Force Hound.
Oh. Wow. Way to leave it as a cliffhanger there.
Yep. Next issue is titled Nothing Left of the You Used to Be.
The You Used to Be? Well, try saying that 3 times fast.
I hope they don't make him evil. They just snapped him out of being part of the dark side and brought him back to being a good guy.
Maybe not. Maybe he'll...
And especially after the 2 previous story arcs where they built this character up so much, and they pulled him out of the dark side. I hope he doesn't fall back into that. He's kind of like the Winter Soldier. You know, he was brainwashed into being a bad guy, but then, you know, Captain America saved Bucky. Well, I hope they save him before he becomes a Force Hound again.
He might. I mean, you know, they're trying to build up that story to, you know, there's got to be a catch to why they did that. Because that's what Star Wars books I know were. Like, they leave you on a cliffhanger and get you thinking what's going to happen next. And then that's what's good about a comic book.
Dawn of the Jedi has been an amazing series since the first story arc, the first book. As we continue forward more and more, this is before Star Wars happened. This is when the Jedi came to be and how they evolved into the galaxy. So I'm loving this series. If you're a Star Wars fan, you will absolutely love this series, and this is definitely a must-have for you guys if you're a fan of Star Wars. And with that, that's it.
Yep.
So, guys, we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you guys have a happy new year from us here at the Indie Review. Stay tuned. We're not going anywhere. You guys are, but me and Mike are staying right here, and we're going to be doing the Dark Avenger comic review directly after this, recording-wise, but posting-wise, because this video has to go up first. You guys are probably going to see this on Monday morning instead of the Dark Avenger review and the Dark Avenger review. If not, in the afternoon on Monday.
First of all, you gotta
Monday
get
night.
that
I'm going to
cough
fix
fixed.
this cough before we get into the
Yeah.
next review.
And you talked about my cough episodes back.
I know, right? So, guys, thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to check out comicrelated.com, comicfrontline.com, and darkavengerinc.com. All of them are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Subscribe to where you can subscribe. Bookmark the websites, of course. This way you come back. We update 365 days in a year, 366 in leap year. What?
I was going to say, and common questions as well.
Feel free to comment below. Your comments will be heard on this Friday's weekly or Saturday, depending on, because it's the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
The next weekly haul, basically. Your comments will be heard. Questions, comments, likes, dislikes, agree, disagree with anything we said. Books you'd like to recommend that are...
both of us. You know.
Books you'd like to recommend now. Not old books, guys. When I say books you'd like to recommend, I mean books that are out now or coming out now. Current books you'd like to recommend. As far as old books, he has a list. I have a list a mile long of books that we'd love to get.
This is a mile long. Like.
So any current books that you would like to recommend, feel free to let us know in the comments below as well. Once again, have a happy new year.
Yep, happy new year.
Take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys literally in the next review. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys.